Never tolerate disrespect, not even from yourself. At the intersection of two old streets, shrouded in thick winter fog, the raucous calls of merchants rose defiantly against the biting cold lashing across people's faces. There, behind a wooden cart offering hot soup, stood Sebastian, motionless. His gaze was fixed on the crowd, and his eyes betrayed an inner turmoil, as though he were desperately searching for a spark of light to save him from a sea of troubles with no clear shore. Out of the fog emerged a man of moderate build and stern features. Marcus, Sebastian's childhood friend, whom he hadn't seen in years. Their meeting wasn't the joyful reunion old friends usually share. Instead, an air of silent reproach hung between them. "Sebastian," Marcus said in a low voice, "I've heard about your recent fights and how you quit your job. They say you can't take any criticism, not even from yourself." Sebastian's face hardened, his hand tightening on the edge of the wooden cart, as though struggling to stay upright. "I didn't start any of this," he replied, voice tense. "Everyone turned their backs on me. I feel like a germ in their world. Amid the rising clamor of new customers rushing in for soup, Marcus remained focused on Sebastian, sensing that his friend silently craved help. Perhaps they looked away. Marcus said calmly, "Because you were the first to despise yourself. How can you expect them to respect you if you don't respect yourself?" Those words struck a nerve. Sebastian felt as if Marcus had pressed on a wound that had been open for far too long. Indeed, he remembered how he lashed out at his boss, how he cut ties with many friends over trivial matters. He claimed it was about holding on to his principles. But deep down, he knew he was hurting himself more than anyone else, abandoning the truths he once believed in, letting doubt and fear take over. With a hint of desperation, Sebastian muttered, "Why do I let others cross the line with me? Yet I can't forgive the slightest mistake I make toward them." Marcus gave him a sad smile. "Because you've forgotten this simple rule. Never tolerate disrespect, not even from yourself. If you don't respect yourself first, you won't find anyone truly worthy of your respect." Just then, a woman named Catherine, whom Sebastian knew from college, stepped through the fog. Her eyes were filled with anxious concern. "I've been looking for you," she said. "Word is your family's also in turmoil. Did you really speak so cruelly to your father?" Sebastian's features went rigid as he recalled that cold night, his elderly father on the sofa, berating him for not keeping a steady job or stable friendships. Blinded by anger, Sebastian hurled hurtful words at him, accusing him of failing as a parent. Words drenched in merciless contempt. "I was just angry," Sebastian whispered in shame. "I wanted to drive everyone away, so they'd just leave me alone. Maybe I hated anyone who tried to tell me what to do." Catherine shook her head sadly. "No, you just let yourself become a victim of self-contempt. And the more you despised yourself, the more your anger spilled over onto everyone else." Suddenly, Sebastian's phone rang. His sister, her voice trembling, told him their father had been hospitalized after a severe cardiac episode, aggravated by all the tension at home. Sebastian's hands shook and tears blurred his eyes. He felt as though he'd just awakened to the enormity of the pain he was causing himself and those he loved. "Go to him now," Catherine urged. "There's no time." Before hurrying off, Sebastian exchanged a fleeting glance with Marcus, one that seemed to plead, "Fix what you've broken." He arrived at the hospital in a flurry of worry, finding his father lying in a stark white bed, pale and struggling to breathe. Approaching in trembling silence, Sebastian whispered, "Dad, I'm sorry." His father said nothing, but his gaze was enough to strip away every mask Sebastian had worn. He knew then, in disrespecting his father, he had disrespected himself first, allowing contempt to take root in his heart. Exiting the room, he found Marcus and Catherine waiting with anxious looks. With tears in his eyes, Sebastian admitted, "He's exhausted, and I'm overwhelmed with guilt. Now I see that every time I despise myself, I end up taking it out on everyone else. It's a vicious cycle." Marcus placed a reassuring hand on Sebastian's shoulder. "Remember this. If you don't reject the disrespect coming from within, you'll be left with endless regret. Do you finally understand what it means to never tolerate disrespect, not even from yourself?" Night had fallen by the time Sebastian emerged from the hospital. Light rain dotted the silent streets, and in that hush he felt a subtle shift grow inside him, like dawn appearing over a silent, desolate mountain. He realized that he needed to honor himself, not out of arrogance, but to preserve his humanity and protect his bonds with others. He murmured, crossing a narrow road, "I can't let my anger chip away at my dignity. I can't allow anyone, or even myself, to belittle me. I'll forgive my father and myself, but I won't abandon this principle again." Just then, an ambulance stopped abruptly nearby, unloading a gravely ill patient. Sebastian's heart tightened at the sight. He couldn't help thinking of his own father, or perhaps of himself, in that posture of vulnerability. It felt as though the universe was reminding him that life is too short to keep punishing ourselves and draining the love we have for both ourselves and others. It struck him that true self-respect only flourishes if it grows from within. Accepting the humiliation you direct at yourself breaks down your humanity and erodes your ability to love or show compassion. Despising yourself leads you to despise the people around you, and ultimately, no one will respect you in return. Sebastian resolved to set things right. He would rebuild his relationship with his father on genuine understanding and slowly mend the trust of his friends. Above all, he would hold fast to the greatest lesson he had learned: never tolerate disrespect, not even from yourself. That vow, echoing in his heart, opened the door to a new sense of dignity and calm, hinting at a deeper path in life, where real love meets genuine peace and self-respect nurtures the kindness every heart needs.